Hello, my name is Cam Cathcart. It is not Brandon. I know you guys are very disappointed, but he is out of town and I am hijacking his YouTube channel this week. But I promise you, I've got better things to say than Brandon. That's not true. Brandon has a lot of really great things to say, but I'm better looking than Brandon. How can you make $100,000 flipping a house? How can you learn how to find deals, analyze deals, negotiate deals like a pro? Well, I have the answer for you, and it might not be the answer that you want to hear. Like my good friend Brandon, who actually, I told him this and then he started saying it, but he says it all the time. It is extraordinary inputs equal extraordinary outputs. The harder you work, the better you are going to get at finding deals, at analyzing deals, at negotiating deals, and maybe, just maybe, you find a house that you can make $100,000 flipping. Brandon uses this concept when he's buying $100 million apartment buildings. I use this concept when I'm buying $100,000 houses. But when you are looking to find deals, you have to be a good person. People have to want to work with you. If they don't want to work with you, they're not going to send you the deal. That's why Brandon has been able to buy 13,000 doors. That's why I've been able to flip 400 houses, is because people bring me deals and they want to work with me. People bring Brandon deals because they want to work with him. Recently, I made $100,000 flipping a house, and that house came to me from a wholesaler, actually. And I know people say, hey, there's no good deals out there from wholesalers, and that is not true. This wholesaler I've bought a ton of houses from, and I've spent years building up a great relationship with this particular wholesaler. And so I think when people say, hey, there's no deals out there from wholesalers, that's true. You're not going to find a deal on Facebook from a wholesaler most of the time. You're not going to find a deal from a text blast or from an email blast from a wholesaler. Most of the time, when you find deals from the wholesalers, it's because you've spent a lot of time building a relationship and cultivating a relationship with that wholesaler. This particular house, a wholesaler walked a house. He knew it was the perfect property for us. He brought it to me. I was the only person that he brought the deal to. And he knew that I was good for a cash offer. I was good for an offer without any contingencies, that I would fulfill all of the duties of that contract. And so he wanted to sell the house to me. And he still made a I think it was a $15,000 or $20,000 spread on the house. So he won. I ended up buying it and making a lot of money as well on the back end. So I won. And the seller got what she wanted out of it. And so it was a really, really great deal all around. But he brought me the deal and I went and walked the house. And so after I walked the house, as I'm walking through, I'm taking pictures of everything in the house and I'm making sure that I'm able to go sit at my computer and put together a good rehab budget and analyze the deal. And so the first part was wholesaler brings me the deal. I walk the house, I take pictures, I go sit at my computer, I pull up comps of the house. And so a couple of things about this house that I loved that I think a lot of people watching this would find value in knowing is, one, this was a class A++ neighborhood. It was in an incredible neighborhood that people wanted to be in. The reason it was an incredible neighborhood was because of the school district. It is in the hottest school district in St. Louis. Everybody's moving there. They just got a new grant to build like $100 million campus. Incredible school district. And because of that, this neighborhood is one of the nicer neighborhoods in that school district. And so it was an incredible area. Loved the area. I knew people would overpay in this area for this exact house. And so I knew that going into it. The second way that I was able to make $100,000 by analyzing this deal was in this neighborhood, it was a lot of older homes, older brick ranches. So this particular house was about 2,500 square feet. It was a brick ranch. The entire neighborhood was 2,500 to 3,000 square foot brick ranches, but there were no updated comps in the neighborhood. And I think this is important because when I make an offer on a house, I'm not making it off of what I think the house is going to be worth on the back. And I kind of knew in the back of my head, this is going to be worth more than all these other houses that aren't updated. But I'm not saying, hey, this house is worth X amount of money because I just think it's going to be. I have to actually have actual data to back that up. In this particular neighborhood, I didn't have data to back that up. All of the houses that I was seeing in the neighborhood were going between $430,000 and $450,000. Now, they were not updated. They were what I would call grandma clean houses, which typically means they have paint, they have floors, they have kitchens, they have bathrooms from the 80s and 90s. They haven't been updated yet. And they were still selling for $430,000 and $450,000. I did know that my house updated was probably going to be worth more than that. But when I'm running my numbers, I'm not making a emotional decision that's not backed by data saying, hey, my house is going to be worth $500,000 when I'm done with it. I can't do that. That's how you lose money. That was one of the things that helped me on this deal is I ran this house as a $450,000 house. In the back of my head, I did think, hey, this is going to sell for over $500,000. But because I didn't have data to prove that, I didn't run my house at those numbers. So I ran the numbers. I came up with a $235,000 offer. Now it was time for me to go back to the seller and negotiate that price with her. And on this particular deal, the wholesaler had passed it off to me and just asked me to work in a spread for them. We have had a great relationship in the past doing that. And the wholesaler trusts me to get them paid on the back end. And so the wholesaler essentially gave me the lead and gave me the seller and just said, work in a margin for me. So I sat down with the seller. And I think this is really important. When I'm talking about the disc assessment and I'm talking about different people, Brandon is a high I. If I was negotiating a house with Brandon, I wouldn't try and let him win the conversation. I wouldn't try and be overly analytical or sentimental about it. I would just become Brandon's best friend and think that potentially he will sell me the deal because he likes me. Actually, right now I'm trying to buy his house. And that's my goal on his house is I just want him to like me and give me a really good deal on it because he likes me. When somebody's a high S, it's just letting them know that, hey, this house is going to be taken care of, because high S's are typically really sentimental and they have a lot of memories at that house and they want their house to be taken care of. With a high C, they're analytical and it's just like, here's the numbers. And so with this person, I identified that she was a high S. One of the reasons that I was able to identify that was because I looked in one of her, the door to the basement, she had her kids listed there as they were growing up and getting taller along the door frame. And I could see her kids from the 70s all the way up until the early 80s growing up. And she multiple times, honestly, as we were walking the house, cried about having to sell the house and how she was giving away all of these memories that she had at the house by selling it. And so when we were able to sit at the table, I was able to explain to her like, hey, I'm not a wholesaler. I'm not going to turn around and wholesale this to somebody else. I'm going to flip this house and I'm going to come into this house and my wife's going to design the house and we're going to make this house beautiful. Not that it wasn't already beautiful, but we're going to make this house beautiful and we're going to sell it hopefully to another family that can experience the same memories that you and your family experienced in this house. And I was able to connect with her on a very emotional level versus, hey, here's where I'm at and take it or leave it. And so I was able to sit down and talk her through the numbers, talk her why I came to my offer, talk her through like us flipping the house and what we were going to do the house. And when I made her my offer, she looked at me and she said, I've had offers way, way higher than yours, but you're the person that I trust to take care of this house. And she ended up accepting our offer at $235,000. So we signed the contract and now it was time to close on the property. We closed on the property. We got in and we started rehabbing the property. And to be honest, at the beginning, when I first analyzed the deal, I had analyzed a nice rehab, but not a great rehab. And the reason for that was because none of the other rehabs in the area were renovated. And so, or not rehabs, but none of the other houses in the area were renovated. And so I didn't want to rehab a house and over-rehab it for the neighborhood and not be able to sell it where I wanted to sell it at. And once we got into it, I realized that, hey, we do have a decent spread in this already. Even if we over rehab this house and it only sells at 450 or 470, we're still going to make money. But I decided, let's take a chance on this and let's rehab it really, really well. And let's see if we can sell it for way higher than any of the other comps in the area. And so we actually upped our rehab budget by about $35,000 when we got into this house. And we did everything in the house was brand new. It was touched, new kitchens. We took out walls. We put in wooden beams. We made this house absolutely beautiful. And I think it's important to know the reason we did this was because I knew no matter what, that the house was going to sell at $450,000. I knew that buying it at $235,000, putting in $135,000 with holding costs and realtor fees and everything involved, if we sold at $450,000, we would still make money. Maybe not as much as if we had done a $70,000 rehab, but we would still make money. And I wanted to take a chance at, hey, let's over rehab this and get people to fall in love with this house when they walk through the doors. And maybe we can hit that $500,000 number. Maybe we can hit $500,000 plus. And so we made the decision to over rehab the house. And honestly, it ended up working out. After we rehabbed the house, we listed it on the market. I think we listed it at $474,900. That first weekend, we had probably 70 showings. We had 20 something offers and we got people into a bidding war. What that means is we called for highest and best because we had so many offers. So many people wanted this house. So we reached out to all of the agents who made offers and we said, hey, we're looking for the highest and best offer. Have your client give us the highest and best offer. And we had a lot more offers come through. People offered higher than their original amount. And we took all of these offers and we sorted through them. And we did have offers over where we originally accepted an offer at, but we ended up taking an offer at $530,000. And it was a cash offer. There were no contingencies, and it was a quick close. We ended up going with that offer over some offers that were honestly higher than that because we wanted the no contingencies. We wanted the cash. We wanted the quick close because that gave us the highest opportunity of actually closing on the property. And they also had a high earnest money deposit, meaning that if they were to back out of it, we would have gotten to keep that earnest money deposit. And so we really loved that offer. So we ended up taking an offer at $530,000. And the numbers on this house, we bought it for $235,000. We ended up putting about $135,000 into it. So we're into it for $370,000. We did use a hard money loan on this property, and we held it for about 6 months. So we did have substantial holding costs on that, which were somewhere in the range of $20,000 to $25,000. And then when we sold it, we do use a real estate agent that lists for us at 4%, 1% to him, 3% to the seller or to the buyer's agent. And so we had agent fees involved in that. But at the end of the day, we still made about $130,000 on this particular deal. So how can you do this? Well, I think that it is very rare to find a house where you're going to make $130,000 on. So know that right off the bat, that this is not an everyday thing for us. Most of our flips we make between $30,000 and $50,000 on. On this particular one, the reason that we were able to find it so deep was because I made a great connection with the wholesaler that I nurtured for years and years. I know how to analyze deals, and I was willing to take a chance on this house because of the neighborhood that it was in and the school district that it was in. When I say I was willing to take a chance, I mean I was willing to over-rehab the house. I wasn't willing to take a chance on running it as a $530,000 ARV because no comp supported that. I didn't know where I was going to sell it. So I ran it as a conservative ARV because that's where comp said the house should be sold at. Ended up selling for way more than that, which I'm very happy with, but I analyzed the deal the right way. Also, I negotiated the right way. I think a lot of times people, they get into negotiation process, especially direct to seller, and they negotiate with people the way that they think they would like to be negotiated with. And I say this all the time. Don't negotiate with people the way you want to be negotiated with. Negotiate with people the way they want to be negotiated with. And in this particular instance, this person really, really cared about the house. And so did I. And this person really, really cared about it being rehabbed well. And so did I. And this person really, really cared about it going to the right person. And I was able to present that to her of that's me and Lexi. And she wanted to go with me and my wife over other flippers and wholesalers that had offered on the property that honestly had higher offers because she liked us and she trusted us. And so getting really good at negotiation is important. The rehab aspect is important. Learning how to rehab houses and learning how to pull out the most value in houses. And for us, we did take a calculated risk on this one by increasing our rehab budget, knowing that, hey, we're still going to make money if it only sells at $450,000, but we have the opportunity to potentially make a lot more money if we over-rehab this house and somebody walks into it and falls in love with it. And so we knew what we were doing when it came to the rehab. And then on the sales side of it, we knew how to get the highest and best offer and the offer that worked for our company and gave us the money the quickest, I guess, and was the easiest route to sell. And so if you can learn all of those things and start working those into the way that you buy properties, you analyze deals, you negotiate deals, you rehab deals, you sell deals, you are going to make money. Again, you're not going to make $130,000 on every deal. That is few and far between, but you will make money on houses.